Welcome, everybody. This is Abacus Fish, and we're playing Antagonist RPG via Roll20. And here's your game master and creator of Antagonist, James.
Ahoy! I will be GMing tonight's game about a group of medieval gangsters looking to mark out their turf against a hostile world that is seeking to encroach on their territory. Tonight's players will include Erica. Erica, why don't you tell us who you're playing?
I'm playing Elgret, older ogre-blooded. I don't know. I'm just kind of the heavy of the game.
And Dan, who are you playing?
I'll be playing Leflin in honor of the Celtic Festival. I'll be playing your local tavern owner slash scoundrel.
And Mike?
I'm playing Bernard, who is a kind of a mob boss. He's a fallen scholar and a long realm trader.
So we've got our sage, our muscle, and our tavern owner. So for those of you that are tuning in for the first time or just need a refresher, last session, our intrepid gang got together and had some problems to deal with when an old retired member of the gang came into town looking for help in hiding out from some trouble he had gotten into up north. The various members of the gang agreed to help him out in exchange for a lead, valuable resource that was being brought into the city. They were able to put together a plan to hijack the boat. Mike, Bernard had some interaction with Stonemeyer. You had found out about an expedition going into kind of an area you use as your backup secret hideout, some caves that because of your connections to the Huron that lived here before the Emperor took over, your gang and your gang alone were aware of. You guys were in the process of recruiting new gang members to replace the ones that couldn't follow orders. With that said, Laflamme got into a bit of a scuffle.
Yeah, that wasn't going so well for me, but I don't think it was going well for the other guy either. I am looking at my character sheet and I have 1 point of reputation remaining before I am socially disgraced.
So the gang in question was trying to slander the parched fish, saying they poisoned their customers and overcharged for their beer. And Laflamme was retaliating in the sense that he started this entire fight by calling into question the effectiveness of the Port Quarter gang leadership, causing many of their members to actually stop wearing their gang colors around the Port Quarter. In fact, one of the lieutenants of the Port Quarter gang, as a result of Laflawn's vicious slander, has been booted out of the gang and is no longer a member. The others still remaining. Flawn, however, is not faring much better. With patronage of his tavern dwindling now, he is in dire straits. And that is where we are. Some good news for the Shattered Hook is our gang name, and some bad news. So things are just calming down after the big hubbub during the port. News kind of filters in that the Port Quarter gang is reeling from its failed heist and from the humiliation being visited upon it by Laflawn's rumors. At the same time, the Shattered Hook is quite a bit richer in goods. And when you open up those crates, it is exactly what you thought it would be. Some very fine yarn. Looks like it's the sort that would be used in noble clothing.
Why don't we sell it and have a party of the parched fish? We could have a sea shanty contest.
Probably want to lay low for a little bit. I'm not sure how long it'll take. Not great for our reputation to be selling stolen goods right after the heist. Unless we can.
I thought we were selling it abroad through the Long Realm Trader Network.
It'll just take a little while. I was thinking maybe go out onto the river and maybe change up some of the signage so that we can sell it back here at a profit.
Only the Shattered Hook would be so bold as to first smuggle stolen goods out of the city and then smuggle those same stolen goods back into the city.
Best way to make profit is to not put that much effort into it.
With all this activity, why don't I get this week's actions from everybody?
I'm in dire straits with the reputation of my tavern at risk. So I would be imploring anyone within the gang to provide social protection. Is there a social defense I could do?
Indeed, you could be cautious It costs you 1 action point, but you go on the defensive and it raises your social defense by 1 until your next turn, which will be next week.
That sounds reasonable. Maybe the best defense is a good offense, and I should just finish him off. I am skilled in gossiping. I'm not sure what the special ability is associated with skill in gossiping, but I've got it. I'll begin by carrying out a gossip action just to learn about the remaining Port Quarter gang member, defaming my tavern.
Why don't you go ahead and make a roll? The difficulty is going to be 9.
So that's a 9, 6, and a 15.
You find out that that the last remaining leader of the Port Quarter gang is Eduardo Fraile. Okay, he is in the process of desperately trying to seek out a way to build back the reputation of the Port Quarter gang after the disgrace of his comrade in arms. He was forced, almost against his will, to kick out the other guy. He was actually on good terms with him. He's currently at a disadvantage if anyone were to press a social attack. But he's reaching out to someone, and you're not able to determine who. But he is asking for help. He's trying to bring someone else into this conflict.
I probably would have required a better roll to figure out who that is. Well, let me save my last 2 actions. I'll probably do some kind of social attack on him, but I'll let the rest of the party do what they will and hopefully figure out who our future enemies will be.
Okay. So, Bernard, you were trying to figure out how to get the goods sold.
So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to work on the trading or selling of the goods.
Okay. Make a smuggling roll. A character wishing to smuggle for profit can spend 2 action points during the seasonal action phase, making an acumen, intrigue, or intrigue, acumen test against the difficulty of the economic defense rating of a character or organization that controls the holding being smuggled into. For your purpose, that's the city. The city's economic defense is 10.
Not bad on those rolls.
Okay.
So-
Well, that looks like 3 successes. So you gain a minor criminal secret, but you also gain 4 points of wealth.
We need that. Okay, so that gives me some buying power.
So why don't you describe why you were so successful with this gambit of sending your goods out, rebranding them, and then bringing them back into town? What did you rebrand them to?
It's a trading company that's not from here, and using the fact that these are fine goods supposed to be going to this place to begin with, I simply had my guys go to the spot where they're going to be sold naturally and set up shop.
Oh, and they were in demand because the threads that they were looking for were not available. They had tried to buy them last week, and there's this tremendous demand that got created by this vicious gang battle at the port. They were able to sell them at a premium because of the urgency shortage that occurred.
And
Right.
a good chunk of this is going to go towards covering the gang.
Probably hiring some new minions.
Okay, you've got 1 action point left.
I'll take the caution action, so
Okay, so are you going to take economic caution or social caution? Which are you worried about?
I'll take social
Okay.
caution,
Being careful about what you say and not angering anyone.
putting on the
Oh.
business face.
I'm gonna hang out at the parched fish and take the guard interpose action for the place and an owner. I'll just save the rest of my AP points, other than the one I'm spending to take the action, just in case they're needed.
I'm going to go on the offensive. So he's kind of desperate and he's searching for reinforcements. And now that I have wind of this, I'm going to make him look weak. Tell stories about his breaking up with his other friend and basically going from friend to friend and paint him as someone who exploits their friends.
Let's see how convincing you are.
I will try to vilify him.
Honor, intrigue. And you have advantage 1 from his recent problems.
Okay, so with an honor, intrigue, that's a 6, 12, 13.
That's definitely 2 successes. I'm going to make a protection roll for him now. You were actually fairly successful in your attempt, but he was able to call on the reputation of previous Port Quarter members and their say-so to shore him up against some of the criticism you were leveling on him. You did a total of 1 point of reputation damage to him, and now it's his turn because I believe everybody has spent their action points except technically Elgrit, who's going on the defense. He actually does something else with his action points. He's busy with something else, so he does not counterattack this week.
I might do a little bit of investigating, get a sense of the rumors and the aftermath of the gang fight. I want to figure out what most people think. Like, what are the strongest narratives explaining what went on?
Oh, good idea. You need to make sure that your ruse was successful. Do you want to use an interrogation, as in you're going to knock heads? Are you going to
Um,
use money? Or are you going to use your quote unquote pretty face?
I don't know that I have a very pretty face. I might do an inquiry.
Okay.
'Cause I want us to be seen as friendly because we're going to be going on a recruitment drive.
Are you using money or
Can't use money, I don't
your
have much.
trustworthiness?
I'm going to do it the nice way.
You go asking around. Make an honor intrigue roll. Difficulty 9.
And what's the other value for the knockheads?
If you were going to be more forceful about your requests, you could use brawn, glory, and intrigue.
Ooh, I might have to do that because I'm really good at that.
Okay, yeah, being a Mr. Nice Guy isn't really Elbert's strong suit. So you do what you're good at, and you headlock them until they tell you what you want them to know.
Yeah, they're going to tell me what I want them to know or what they want, what I want to know. They're going to tell me what I want to know because
Okay, so the 10 and the 9 are obviously successful because both of those are higher than your difficulty. What
it was
was what's your glory? Or
my
is what you add to the
glorious
5?
6.
Seriously? Wow. Okay. You are an intimidating force. You wander the city, and people get out of your way, except for the ones that you catch. They tell you what you want to know. What you find out is that the majority of the city, because of the eldritch influence upon what happened, believe that this is some sort of Fey inspired happening, particularly because the city has so much activity around the cursed lake. That kind of thing is pretty common. But there is a very small subsection of the Arcarian Authority that is investigating the Shattered Hook game. Because you were so convincing, you were able to extract that the investigation into the Shattered Hook is not based on any evidence. They don't have any reason to believe the Shattered Hook is actually responsible. They are investigating you anyways.
Interesting.
You have one action point left.
You know, we might, because we have inside knowledge that another gang has known ties to Eldridge influences, we could very easily turn this investigation against them.
Yeah, and I thought of something I might use to my action point. I might try the squawking jay, chattering squirrel, and see if I can spy on the authorities that are doing the investigation. Like,
Okay, that sounds like a reasonable use of that spell.
is it all
Would you
sorcery?
go to the spell? Do you have the game manual open?
I do. Casting spell requires caster to catch a small animal, hold it in their hand. Once the incantation is complete, the animal will listen astutely to the caster, allowing the caster to give the animal a message, description of both a place and a person to deliver it to, or ask the animal a question. The animal will behave as a below average intelligence human until the given question is answered or the message is delivered. If the animal is unable to immediately perform its given task, it will set off on a quest, keeping its intelligence until it either believes itself to have found the answer to the caster's question and return to deliver it, or believes it has delivered the message to the appropriate being.
What animal are you going to catch, and what question are you going to ask it?
I don't know. A cat seems like the most, easiest one to, get close to the authorities that I would be interested in. Did I get names?
Yes, because of how successful you are able to find out the exact name of the individual pushing this investigation. Name is Senor Valderes, and he is not a noble, but he is a high-ranking guardsman.
I asked the cat how many people are working with Senor Valderas on the investigation and their names, or is that too much information?
That's kind of going to depend on how smart your animal is, which is based on how good your sorcery roll is. You will have to ask the question before you get to see the roll.
Okay. So, what are the names of the other folks working with Senor Valderas in this investigation? Oh, that was not a good roll. I had a 5 to each of those, so it's an 8, a 7, and a 10.
Okay, why don't you read us the partial success off of your spell?
The animal can speak as a human, but its intelligence is not increased. Ah, poop. Smart's a
Okay.
cat.
Well, the cat does disappear, but because it is no smarter than a normal cat, it doesn't really have a concept of what a name is. As the day comes to a close, the cat comes back dragging a dead bird and deposits
Ooh.
that. It has a name tag on it, and it looks like it was a pet.
Oh no.
Good job.
What's the name? What's the pet's name tag say?
Pedro. Pedro the
Pedro.
songbird.
All right, I'm going to deeply bury Pedro the songbird and pretend I never saw it. And I'm gonna, yeah, guess I'm gonna wait for some more action points. So I know what I'm doing next.
So the week comes to a close. Because of your tendrils kind of out into the city, you know that the Arcarian Authority is continuing to push for funding to be transferred from the Navy to themselves. That was something you kind of uncovered last session. It didn't really come up. So there was a proposal by the nobility to put the money from the Navy or to the city guard. And some nobles are in favor, some nobles are against. The city guard is obviously in favor. You know, there's kind of political finagling going on.
Yeah, that could go well or badly depending. I mean, more guards in the city could make our on-land activities more difficult, but less in the Navy could make our water less difficult. So I don't know.
Okay, with that said, the week ends and the following week begins.
I should probably continue my assault, hoping to finish this fellow off. Is anyone capable of assisting?
I'm gonna do the same thing I did before. Use my one action point to watch you back.
I think I can do second fiddle. Is that
Now that I have 3 action points to spend, undermine?
That's
Oh, I'm
if
not
you
a
want to be
courtier.
secretive about it, but it's a little late for that.
Oh, come on. Penetrating slander. Ooh, I'm an entertainer, I think, so this might be useful.
That way you can do it without the influence cost.
I'm gonna slander him because I'm gonna basically his secret dealings with law enforcement as a member of the a criminal. He's basically tattling, which is slanderous for someone in his position.
Indeed, he's snitching. Okay. Mike, how are you going to contribute to this effort?
I'm going to use my knowledge as a sage to actually get a paper trail. I'm going to generate that for this events that actually augment my coworker's story.
Okay, so you're establishing that he has a history of going to the authorities every time he gets in trouble. Okay, let's see how good you do. So make an intrigue, glory roll.
I got 1 success.
Well, that's enough to give Laflon a 1-point bonus to his roll. So Laflon, go ahead.
Oh
Okay.
no, I might have gotten 0 successes.
Oh, that 9 is a success. Why don't you explain to us why your attempts to paint him as a snitch were less successful than you imagined when you set on this plan?
Apparently, in the city of Hammerbow, snitching is a perfectly acceptable tactic for the criminal underground to employ. So,
You learn something new every day. Apparently, you can snitch and no one will care. Few people will care. You did do 1 point of damage. They didn't care that he snitched this one time. It's only because Bernard established that he had a long history of it. They're like, yeah, this guy must be weak if he's relying on the authorities to do his own job. Bernard, that leaves you 1 action point. Egret, you still have 3.
I might skulk around and see if I can take a look at Senior Alderez.
So you go up into military district.
I probably should do this after dark.
So not a lot going in the military district after dark, it seems. Close to Spice Gate, there's like some after hours soldiers hanging around there, but other than that, it is quiet here. You're able to skulk around. There are patrols, but you can avoid them pretty easily.
No, I'm not finding out where he may live or where he may work.
No, you know where he works in the barracks. But you don't know where he lives.
I check out the central barracks. I want to get a good sense of the building and the grounds without being too suspicious.
You look super suspicious, but there's no one to see you.
Sounds good. What's the building like?
You get a rough idea of what this place looks like. It's pretty big. You can't get a layout of the inside, but you get an idea of what the outside looks like. And it looks like, if you look at the map, there's actually a secondary fort that some of them actually operate out of.
Okay. What materials are these buildings made out of?
The fort is made out of stone, and the buildings probably as well.
Does that include the roof?
No, the roof is thatched wood.
Cool. Nearby that I can not be seen at all by anyone?
How not seen do you mean?
I just want to cast a spell.
Then an alley should do the trick.
So I'm kind of interested in doing the summon servant action, but it says threshold 1, 3, and 5. What does that have to, like, how does that work with my action points?
Sorcery does not require your weekly action points. The threshold determines how spent you are, and the higher the threshold you cast it at, the more powerful the spell.
I have a little time to think about what I want to do.
Absolutely. So this week, the lieutenant is going to respond to Flawn's accusations of weakness.
Because I wasn't engaged last round, do I get any kind of recovery at the end of that
Yes,
week? Or
choose two things you want to recover one of.
probably reputation.
So the Lieutenant Eduardo is going for the throat. He claims that you're a full-on informant for the Arcarian Authority and directly responsible for a lot of the arrests that happened 2 weeks ago in that gang fight. The authority sent agents over to the Parched Fish, gather information on the fact that that was going on. Eduardo's assault on your reputation is not particularly more effective than your assault on his. Ogret, let's see if you can take the blame for this.
Yeah, 5, 6, 4. It's a terrible roll.
Those are your totals?
Yeah, 3 intrigue and no honor.
Oh, wow. Okay. You attempt to take the fall for this slander, but all you really do is end up joining in his misery. So both of you make protection rolls. There's no add-ons for protection roll. You're just looking for 10s.
Then I also block 0.
Okay. So both of you take 1 point of reputation damage.
If you take a disengage, can you also take a recovery?
You're not socially engaged at the end of the round, you can recover. So the answer is yes, depending on timing.
The fact that I did this, that used my last action point, so I can't do a spell now, right?
You can, because sorcery does not require weekly action points. It requires action points on a scene basis. You cast a spell during a scene.
Okay, I want to take a metal awl, and I want to enchant it to spin and make holes in the guard roof. Hopefully spin fast enough to cause fire. I'll take holes.
Since causing a fire is not part of an all's standard use, it will not do that, but it will very much make holes. Why don't you read what the spell does in its entirety?
The caster infuses sentience into a tool or object while simultaneously giving it a project to work on. If the object is suited to the task, it has a virtue rating of 3. It performs as a seasoned apprentice would. If someone interferes with the object's ability to perform the task, the object flails about at random, using itself on various other objects or people in the area. At threshold 1, the spell lasts for a scene. At threshold 3, the tool will continue to operate until dusk. At threshold 5, the tool remains enchanted until the end of the week.
What threshold are you casting this at?
5! I want lots of holes in the roof. Alright, that's 15, 11, and 7.
That is 2 successes. So alls are indeed specifically for creating holes. Not large holes, but holes nonetheless. So it will do that for a week on this roof. Or until somebody interferes with it. Why don't you make a roll for the all? It is a rating 3 at making holes. And we'll see how well it does its job before it's eventually discovered.
So 10, 4, and 10.
The next time it rains, there's going to be some problems in the guard barracks. So you leave it to its task and then you leave.
I think I have one more action point.
Okay, I'm going to take an action first, and then you can take your last action before the week ends. Near the end of the week, Senor Valderez begins investigating Bernard in such a way that causes a lot of attention onto his business. What this is a social attack against Bernard.
Oh no, I'm going to jail.
Not yet. What's your reputation?
I was at 2.
Okay, make a social protection roll.
Nope.
So now you're at -1. Not
My
disgraced
sage thing-
until you go to -2.
My sage thing kicks off, right?
Oh,
bad
that's
part.
right. So sages are a highly disreputable group. Historians are banned in the Empire unless specifically you study military history or is very proud of his military history. But you're not supposed to look into other aspects of the Empire's history. So when a sage is disgraced, they suffer some additional penalty.
Becoming disgraced causes you to be hunted down by the Legion for execution. This can be averted if a 6 influence of any level is spent on your behalf.
Okay, I've
Before
got
you-
good news. You're not technically disgraced. You are at the level right before disgraced. So that has not occurred yet. But if you take a single point of reputation damage past this, you'll not only be disgraced, but you will also be hunted down by the guards, as the fact that you are a sage looking into the history of the Empire will be revealed. So they get to inflict a condition on you. It is one of the staggered conditions. You can take a look at them if you're curious on page 20 and get to choose one. I'm going to choose mortally wounded. Your reputation is mortally wounded. The aggressor isn't playing games. They intend to finish you off. The wound they inflict will only hasten that process. Mortally wounded character take a point of damage at the end of each week until they escape a conflict. So what this means is if you are still engaged at the end of this week, you're going to take that last point of reputation damage. Now, you have an action point left. You can take a disengage action to try and get out of this.
Seems like a great idea.
It's an honor roll.
11, 6, 8.
Well, the 11 is successful. See what you get with one success. You escape the engagement but are unbalanced until the end of your next turn. What this means is because you are successfully disengaged, you can actually recover at the end of the week, which it is now the end of the week. So you can recover to 0. So you recover to 0 because you are disengaged. Your reputation does not bleed out. So he has accused you of being the cause of this. So initially he was just investigating Bernard as being the cause of this strange happening when the cursed ship docked. In the process of his investigation, he uncovered quote unquote evidence, and you have never seen or heard of this evidence before. But he uncovered evidence that to the people proved that Bernard directly solicited the help of dark magics in the process of heisting the ship and was the one that benefited from it. Now, that happens to be true, but it doesn't seem like he knew that. It seems like he was just blaming Bernard and was going to do it whether Bernard was guilty or not.
Is this the gang that we have a secret about that they're Is this the gang that we have a secret about that they're harboring a blessed?
This is the city guard. One particular city guardsman, Senior Valderez, who has recently had his songbird brutally murdered, as it in for Bernard for some reason. And with regards to that, how does Bernard escape the situation? He didn't fix it, but he did escape it.
I clumsily and socially, I'm like, have I ever been known to actually be magical? No. I went to school here. Try to use the most base argument to say I have nothing to do with that demonic ship.
In fact, Bernard is the only one in the party that in fact has no magical ability.
Yeah, I'm like, I'm not no evil magic user.
Oh, it worked. Kind of. I mean, it got you out of trouble for this week. And that will leave everybody is out of action. That brings us to week 3.
We really need to finish this guy off.
I was thinking of doing a penetrating strike against the person that I'm going to help finish off your query, your person, and using my sage background, do some research, get the paperwork so we can just get rid of this guy because now I have a bigger fish to fry. I don't need to be dealing with 2 fights at the same time.
We might could we economically go after the guard instead of
Senior Valderez?
Socially?
Certainly.
I would very much like to finish off the gang member socially because I feel like he's taken a beating. And penetrating slander is my method of choice.
You know what? I can do second fiddle again.
How's your social attacking or your economic attacks? Mostly acumen?
I have a +4.
That sounds more prudent than trying to second fiddle my social attacks.
Okay. Then I'll do the firm blow.
And if you roll well enough, it does extra damage. So that's going to cost you 1 wealth.
Not good. 8.
I thought you had to have a holding to do it.
Oh, right, because you're at -1 from being unbalanced.
Yeah.
He is spending a wealth to ignore requirements, so he does not need a hold.
Yeah, no, I failed. I don't think I got any successes.
You were close. The difficulty was 9. You almost got 2 successes. Because you are unbalanced from trying to save your reputation, it is not effective economic assault. What did you attempt and why didn't it work?
What I tried to do was put in the right ears exactly what's going on, why he used a snitch, why this is bad for business in general. Even though we all have our different businesses, he should be blacklisted from all of us. But I've been distracted with my legal proceeding and trying not to be too loud, so I'm not as bold as I usually am. So I stumbled over the words when I was trying to explain to them.
Okay. You tried to get all the merchants together because, they're picking on one. That means they're picking on all of them.
Hmm.
But you're not as popular amongst the other merchants as you found out. And
Yeah.
without really the gift of gab, you couldn't things together. Who's next?
All right, so if I do, so how would this work? Elgert would attack first with distracting vilify, and then I would follow in with a penetrating slander.
That would be probably the optimum strategy.
Let's do that.
Okay. How many action points does that take? I'm not on that page.
All of them.
Fair enough. Okay. Yeah, I'll help
Okay.
you finish them off.
So you will give Bernard make a glory intrigue check against difficulty 9.
Yeah,
Wow.
that's going to be an 11, 13, and a 13.
Okay, that's 3 successes. Let's see if his social protection kicks in. Oh, he blocks one of the damage. Why don't you tell us? So, distracting slander is listed as a particularly audacious social attack. It's something in your face out there. It says, as a summary, people of low birth can often enrage others with the impertinence of particularly venomous vitriol directed at their betters. How is Elgert being so audacious that it's distracting this guy from his true target, which is LaFlawn?
I'm just going bar to bar drinking, and man, I can't believe this guy got half my guys and half his own guys jailed, and what a stupid thing to do, and like, how are we all going to recover from this? Like, what an idiot! I can't believe how hard he's made my life.
Oh, Elgert is quite loquacious on this subject. How is LaFlawn following this up? LaFlawn, he's engaged, so that's going to give you some penalties. But to cancel that out, you've got advantage 3 on this next attack because he's so distracted by Elgert's bullshit.
I didn't realize I'd have to follow it up. I just assumed he'd be finished off by now. I'm
The,
gonna spread rumors that he has not only a snitching history, he also has been known to snitch to his half-fey associates.
Oh, okay. So he has
Yeah.
half Fey associates.
Oh, then 13, 10, and 6.
That's 2 successes. Whoever this elder gang member is that's protecting his reputation is stepping in quite a lot, but he's just done. It's too much work to save this guy. He lets him go down. One of the friends of the gang member of the previous leader that he kicked out takes over the gang from him. But at this point, they've lost both of their experienced leaders, and the Port Quarter gang is just not in good shape. They are not in a position to continue this war of words, and they are backing down.
Okay.
With that said, Senor Valderez thinks he's quote unquote found something on Bernard. Let's see if he can roll as spectacularly as last time.
He's coming from my throat.
So, Bernard, it is going to take a miracle, but why don't you make a social protection roll?
That's not a miracle.
That is not a miracle. Senor Valderez uncovers inarguable proof that Bernard was the one that teamed up with the Fae to heist this ship. It doesn't reflect well on the Shattered Hook, but for the time being, Bernard is taking all of the fall here. Bernard is disgraced. Wanted posters appear around the city, and the guards are moving into the Glasshook Quarter to actively apprehend Bernard. You guys have taken all your action points, so you can't do anything big. But on a small scale, what are you doing about this?
I think for the foreseeable future, I'm going to be trying to rebuild my reputation, or worst case, I'm going to have to take a hit so the gang can actually move forward with and not go down with me.
Okay, so there's kind of 2 choices. You can take the full blame and get arrested, admit your guilt, say the gang wasn't at fault, which will probably mean a new character, or you can go into hiding because the guards are actively looking for you with the intent to take you away.
I'm going to try to go into hiding because
We will figure out how successful you are next or in week 4. With regards to the Port Quarter gang, they just changed leadership. They don't have it in them to cause you any trouble this week. So Laflawn is not engaged by the end of this, even though he was attacked. The attacker is gone, so you are no longer engaged.
Nope, I'll take that recovery then.
That is the end of week 3. When I say week 3, I actually mean week 3 of this session. I think you're into week 7, actually, or just finished week 7. Week 8, in 2 months since this all started, things are looking bad for you, but they're looking even worse for your opponents. Except there's someone new on the scene, and he is causing a great deal of strife for your gang. Still not sure why.
Who is this?
Senor Valderez, the one
Oh,
that
right.
just framed Bernard for something he actually did.
I know from my investigation what Valderez is in charge of.
He's in charge of a small group of guards. He's like a lieutenant.
Do I know where they're housed or where they work?
Alderez works in the offices typically when he's not out on patrol. The guards live in the barracks and work around the city like normal city guards. So let's address the Bernard situation first, since that is the most pressing. Bernard is currently being actively hunted by the city guard with the intent to execute.
Well, seems like he
Do we
should
know if
disappear
the-
for a cave network or something. I mean, that would seem wise. Go on a long trading trip.
Yeah, we'll be leaving town for a while.
I mean, the cave network is also a possibility.
Yeah, the cave network.
Okay, so you're officially leaving town, but so you're going to the cave network instead?
Yeah, I'm gonna trust the gang.
That's probably a good idea because they're
They're gonna be looking for me on the ships.
going to be looking for you, and when you are disgraced, particularly because of your sage background, word gets out. It's not just this city; it's guards all over the empire. So Bernard takes refuge in the cave network. That means the guards are going to be asking a lot of questions of the Shattered Hook instead, because they can't find who they're actually looking for.
So this week, I want to step this up and plan an assassination attempt on this guard
So there is.
who spread the rumors in the first place. Yeah.
How's this assassination attempt going to work?
Well, if is he a higher ranking guard who maybe has a home of his own?
He does have a home of his own, yes. As far as ranking goes, I'd say captain is top rank, so he's one down from that.
Okay, well, I'm going to attempt to sneak into his home and assassinate because I'm weary of this social conflict and economic conflict. It doesn't seem to work out very well for us. So let's go ahead and put my baking skills to use.
You still don't know where he lives.
Does being a criminal help with shadowing?
Yeah. How does that work? How do you find him initially so that you can shadow him?
Maybe he's coming to me to do the questioning. So let's let the week play out a little bit, and maybe he comes to me as he is leading the investigation. So I will wait for him to come to me, at least probably about half the week.
I also was considering killing the guy. So, is there a regular route that Valderez patrols?
You don't know that. That isn't a no, that isn't a yes, it's a you just don't know.
Okay. Well, I know he works out of the barracks. Do I hear whether he's one of the ones questioning my gang members?
Yes, he has come to the Glasshook district several times in the process of investigating Bernard and uncovering evidence.
You know, I might ask the fellow gang members to keep an eye out and try to follow him back.
Okay.
What his routes?
Go ahead and give me
What is-
an inquiry roll. Difficulty 9. That looks pretty successful. One of the gang members comes running in and says, "Yeah, he's here. He's on his way to the Parched Fish. You're currently at the hideout.
How far away is the parched fish?
Not far.
How many routes in and out of the parched fish? You know, whatever. Dead branch. Doesn't matter what. I just need something in the route that I can enchant to go down on him.
So you're looking for a route. He's probably come from the west, but the problem is that there aren't a lot of overhang. So dropping something on his head might be difficult.
I'll kill him.
Oh, okay. I will just wait for you to kill him.
Okay. As you expected, Laflawn, you are a known associate of the dire and conspiring criminal Bernard. So Senor Valderez is right on time, bursting into your tavern with a boot to the kind of shabby old door.
Well, too bad for him. I'm on stage and I will not interrupt my performance for anything. He's going to need to wait. He can buy his own drink in the meantime.
Well, if he was trying to secure your cooperation, that's probably what he would do. But you are a performer, and you recognize as soon as he comes in that he's not looking to secure anybody's cooperation. He probably doesn't actually want the information that he's quote unquote looking for. He is here for a performance, and he is going to be the one giving it.
I will make my performance particularly loud and difficult to interrupt.
How many backup performers do you have? Because he has 10.
Oh, I'm just trying to get the entire tavern dancing and singing.
Oh, the entire tavern might work. Okay.
A sea shanty song. I have the entertainer profession.
Well, the entertainer profession is going to help. I'm going to make that a glory intrigue roll, and I'm going to give you advantage 1 for entertainer and advantage 1 because this is literally your home turf.
All right, so we're looking at 2 successes.
So he has a whole cadre of guards to help him, and he's yelling and shouting and making a big noise, and people are just ignoring him. He only got 1 success. So his performance is drowned out by yours. Ultimately, he's not able to make the spectacle that he intended, but he doesn't just leave. He does wait until he can kind of nab you off the stage.
Well, too bad for him. I have an expansive repertoire of sea shanties to sing here.
How long does this take?
Probably long enough to me to sidle up inside the door.
Oh, you have more than enough time. You have already had enough time. Elgrit can be there if she wants to.
I want to make signs to get his cadre drunk. Like send drinks to the guards that came in, not necessarily him, but just the people that were with him. Try and get them involved in my performance.
Okay, why don't you make another roll? Let's do intrigue, honor.
That's 3 successes, I'm sure.
So by the end of this, he's the only sober one. This is not going the way he planned. The guards are doing their due diligence when he's directly observing them, but otherwise they're just taking the drinks and kind of joining in, but not really because they have to work when he's watching them.
We'll let that go on for a while, and then I guess we'll slow down and well, if other performers want to come up and continue the ruckus when I'm out of energy, but
Okay.
that will have lasted at least an hour.
Oh, how dense is the crowd?
Given that Laflawn's successes, quite dense. Also, for the first time ever, the parched fish has not been maligned or slandered this week.
I think I'm gonna try to pick off the guards.
Okay.
Quietly.
There are 10 of them.
What I'd like to do is try to separate them from their group and just do a neck snap and make them look passed out at a table. Too much drink.
Commando him. He's sleeping.
It might be feasible once or twice. I think people will probably catch on eventually.
Eventually, but I'm hoping to. Well, I guess that would be really public if I ended them all in a big crowd. Oh, damn it! You know what? We're in a big crowd. This would be a great place for Valderas to have an accident.
Okay, describe this accident.
I'm gonna enchant a full flask of wine. Somebody in the crowd throws it, or it looks like that. So I'm gonna have to duck in out of sight so I can enchant it.
Are you using your summon tool spell?
Yup.
Okay, so wine is not typically a weapon.
Okay, somebody throws a knife up in the air. It goes when everybody cheers. It goes woo.
What kind of knife are you using, or more specifically, where are you getting this knife from? You have plenty on you. Are you using one of those, or are you looking for a different?
One of the tavern knives, so it just looks like some reveler threw it up in the air like an idiot and came down.
Those big chopping knives.
Yeah, something
Sounds
might be
good.
at someone's table.
What threshold are you casting the spell at?
1.
Okay.
So I just want it to hit once.
Go ahead and make a roll.
10, 14, 15.
That's really good. That was 3 successes to enchant this knife. And why don't you read the spell? Why don't you read the complete success level of the spell?
The tool instead performs as a journeyman for appropriate tasks, possessing a virtue rating of 4 for such tasks.
The knife is going to operate as a rating 4 club or a rating 4 vegetable chopper. I assume you want the club.
Yep. Fly up in the air for everyone to see and brain Valderas.
Okay. Go ahead and roll for the knife.
Ah, crap.
Oh, knife is skilled, but Valderas is more so. He's the only one not drunk. He parries the knife as it comes screaming down towards his head, knocks it away, and looks around. But of course, he doesn't see the culprit. At this point, the knife has been given its task. Your magic is in place, and you no longer have control over it. It does what it has been told to do. It flies up into the air and tries again. Go ahead and roll again.
A giant crowd, so that's very hard to see.
Okay, this one is extremely successful. Valderas is wearing his armor, so he has slightly better protection. Doesn't do him any good. So he takes 3 full points of health damage.
Is the knife done?
At this point, once he realizes that the knife has a mind of its own, he's going to attack it back with very little success. Give me a protection roll for the knife. Nope. He manages to wing the knife, denting the blade. The knife takes a point of damage. So it has been 2 rounds of combat. The first round, nobody noticed. Like you said, it's crowded, it's loud, stuff gets thrown. At this point, there's a knife moving and swinging by itself. It's extremely skilled because of your enchantment success. It is moving with the talent of a journeyman bladesman. And Valderez is dueling it with his sword.
I'm running and screaming.
What are you screaming?
Curses at Fey witchery.
Valderez also yells something. It's lost in the crowd, so Laflamme doesn't hear it. But Elgrit, you're close enough. You hear him yell, Bernard has enchanted the knife. Rally! Most of the guards are too drunk and harried to help him. But it looks like 2 of them are close enough to assist. Elgrit, what are you doing?
I'm gonna yell, it's a curse, everybody run, and I'm gonna run.
Okay, sticking with the story. Give me one last roll of the knife before the guards all cut it down. The 10 is sufficient. So, however, this time it wings off his armor before the 3 guards cut the knife down out of the air. At this point, they're moving quickly through the tavern. It looks like they're intent on searching the premise, rather than questioning. Although a couple of the guards are kind of filtering through the crowd and not arresting, but detaining various people. Because Elgrit and Laflamme acted so quickly, you managed to leave the building before everything gets too bad. At this point, how many action points has everybody spent?
I think I've spent 2 because I investigated the alley to try to find a better assassination option and failed.
That only costs you 1, so you have 2 left. Bernard wasn't able to spend any action points, and we are going to end on a cliffhanger. This will create perhaps some time, figure out what you all are going to do about this, and if necessary, depending on what you decide, Mike might want to make a new character.
right.
We're going to be wrapping up tonight. Thank you, everybody that's listening. I hope you enjoyed our show. Cliff, thank you very much for hosting us.
Yeah, that was that's a pretty good cliffhanger. I'm wondering how Bernard's gonna get out of this one.
Yeah, Bernard. Why'd you do that?
Man, that no, it
Why did you do those things that you were framed for?
Look, I didn't do them how they said it. How they said it's all wrong.
I mean, that's true. It is. You got blamed for a bunch of stuff that you didn't actually do, and a bunch of stuff that you did. Well, thank you very much for listening, and hope to see you around for our next episode, which we will be announcing soon. Have a
yeah.
good evening, everyone.
Yeah, to keep up on all of our RP streams, the best way to do that is to give this channel a follow. You can also join our social media. We have Facebook, Twitter, and Discord, where we do all of our stream announcements. There's also the website, shatteredempire.net. Shattered Empire is a post-apocalyptic interstellar synthwave-fueled tabletop RPG. If you go to the website right now and get the free alpha, has everything you need to make a character, and if you're a crafty enough GM, you can make your own campaign. So again, thank you, James, for playing and or GMing, and thank you guys for playing. And this is Abacus Fish signing off.